All right. Good evening, my fellow Toastmasters, any guests, and of course, dignitary guests that may be attending. Neon. Before we get started, we've all should have received a message. I know I heard it on my side, acknowledging that this meeting is being recorded. My name is Ray Melendez, and I will serve you today as Sergeant at Arms. Before we get started, I'm going to ask everybody to do our best to avoid any distractions during the call, and that includes muting yourself while others are speaking. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And now, didn't think I'd be saying this again, but I'm going to pass this meeting on to our prior president, Mr. Shastri Stewart.
Yay!
He's back.
All right. Thank you, Ray. I appreciate that, man. Thank you. A wonderful job as always. I'm happy to be here for another Monday night meeting. Tonight is a special meeting. Well, it's a trial run, actually, so that we could get the actual contest up and running and execute it smoothly. So I will read our mission statement, and then we'll go to our guests. So the mission statement states, it is to provide a supportive and positive learning experience in which members are empowered to develop communication and leadership skills, resulting in greater self-confidence. So before we begin our meeting, we really want to welcome our guest speaker. I'm not even going to try to attempt. How would you say your name? How would you like to be called? Hi. You're muted. Okay.
You can say hi.
Hi. Okay,
Hello,
got
hi.
it. Hi. Oh, that's easy.
Yeah, easy.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you so much for taking that opportunity and being with us tonight. We really do appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Yes. Awesome. And you're no longer a dignitary, correct? Okay. All right. We'll leave you be for now. So we'll pass the meeting over to our contest master, Toastmaster Gary Nooper.
Thank you, Acting President Shastri. Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and our honored guest, Toastmaster Hai. This evening, the purpose of our meeting is to have an evaluation contest. This will prepare our club for the upcoming evaluation contest, and it will also give our evaluators opportunity to practice their evaluations. We're very grateful to have a guest speaker this evening to help us out in our evaluation contest trial run. Toastmaster Ray, please could you describe your role as timer this evening and demonstrate the timing signals. If Toastmaster Hai, your speech is at 5 to 7 minutes.
Yes.
Okay. Toastmaster Ray, could you please provide the timing signals for the speech this evening?
I'm still trying to get my background set up, but I'm going to use my phone to the best as possible. And I am going to show for the speech, I am going to show the green card at 5 minutes, the yellow card at 6 minutes, and you can see the red card at 7 minutes. At 7 minutes and 31 seconds, I will clap you off.
Thank you, Toastmaster Ray. So this evening, all the evaluators will be present in the room while Toastmaster Hai does her speech. And then the evaluators will go out to a breakout room and they will be brought back in the order in which they are speaking. In the formal contest, the speech order will be random, but you've all got your order assigned this evening based on the agenda. So Toastmaster Hai has been a Toastmaster member for 3 months. She's from the Clerks and Controllers Toastmaster Club in West Palm Beach, and she will graciously be presenting her speech this evening for us. So let's give a very warm welcome to Toastmaster Hai.
Good evening. Paul Mayer said that communication is human connections, is the key to personal and to our career success. Ladies and gentlemen, everyone's, you and me, each of us have a unique communication style. Communication style is a ways in which they interact and exchange information to each other. Knowing communication style of ours and the people around us will help us to build quality relationships to each other, avoid conflicts, and make us more successful in our professional life and our personal life. Today, I would like to share the 3 basic communication styles and how I apply this and my understanding of this communication style at work and at my personal life. According to the article of Habits and for Well-being website, there are 3 basic communication styles: aggressive, passive, and assertive. The first one is aggressive communications. When someone communicates to you in an aggressive manner, you will hear it, you will see it, and even you can feel it. They often speak in a loud voice, demanding language, dominate the conversations, fail to listen to people, often ask people rudely. They stand up for their own rights and ignore the right of the other people. The phrase that describes this type of communications is, "I'm right, you wrong." The second one is passive communications. Individuals who use the passive communication style often act indifferently, yelling to the others, doesn't express their feeling or needs, and they lack of outward communication. Spoken communication can lead to misunderstanding and also ignore. They have an ability to say no to the other people. The phrase that describes the best of this communication style is, I want to keep the peace. And the third one is assertive communications. Assertive communicator can express their idea, their needs, their feelings, and they are patient, listen to the other people. They stand up for their own rights, but they're also considering the need of the other people also. Assertive communications is the most effective communication styles. So that's the 3 communication styles and how I apply my understanding of these communication styles at every situation. I came to US 7 years ago, and English is my second language. I understand that I have accents at my English, so I try to adapt my communication style so the other people can understand me clearly. At work, I speak slowly, clearly, slow down my speech. And before making a phone call to the customer, to the clients, to the counties, I write an email to them first to tell them what I want before I make a phone call. And also I want to approach my supervisors by speaking directly to them, come to their office, speaking to them face to face instead of making a phone call. And when in an urgent situation, of course, I use the aggressive communication style, tell what I want. So how I apply my communication style in my personal life? My husband have an aggressive communication style. In most situations, he thinks that he's right. So I apply the passive communication style. I tend to listen to him at first. And during the day, I approach him to him. I tell him that what is my opinions according to my knowledge or according to my understanding. What is my opinion like this? And he, of course, he's listened to me. On the other hand, my son, who is more passive communicator, when I speak to him, I try to ask more questions. And during the conversation, reply to my question, I patient to listen to him. I can understand his needs. So ladies and gentlemen, there are three communication styles: aggressive, passive, and assertive communication style. Knowing the communication style of yours and the people around us to help us to understand ours and understand other people. And it helps us to build more relationship with the other people by applying the suitable communication style. So ladies and gentlemen, if you try to lack of understanding of the other people, you may find more the way to understanding the communication style and apply the suitable communication style at work and at your personal life to help you more successful. Back to you, Mr. Madam and Toaster. Thank you for listening to me.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Hai. And thank you for sharing those valuable tips on communication style. I'm not going to give any more feedback because we'll leave that to the evaluators, but we really appreciate you giving your speech to us this evening. We're going to, I think we'll give 1 minute of silence just to let the evaluators complete their preparation, and then we'll move on to the timing signals for the evaluators. Okay, evaluators. Toastmaster Ray, please could you demonstrate the timing signals for the evaluations this evening?
Thank you, Gary, Toastmaster Gary. Yes, I will. The individual evaluations will be 2 to 3 minutes long. At 2 minutes, I will set a green background, if it works here. At 2 minutes and 30 seconds, I will set a yellow background. And at 3 minutes, I will set a red background. And in 3 minutes and 31 seconds, I will clamp off the speaker.
Thank you, Toastmaster Ray. Evaluators, I will now open the breakout room for you. You should all receive the breakout room notification. You can go into the breakout room. Sonia, Toastmaster Sonia, you can remain in the main meeting. Okay. Our first evaluator for this evening, Toastmaster Sonia Garate.
Thank you, Toastmaster Gary Newper. And hi, Toastmaster, hi. First of all, thank you so much for speaking with us tonight, especially as a newer Toastmaster. So tonight, you began your speech with a quote. Wonderful way to start off the speech and to also explain what your topic would be. Then you launched into explaining your topic. So I clearly understood your topic tonight was communication and the 3 styles. You first shared with us, you will be speaking about the 3 styles: aggressive, passive, and assertive. Now, while you were speaking, you did mention that because of your accent, you apply certain strategies in your personal life and at work to make sure that you're understood. One area I think you can use to help yourself with your speech is because you have an accent and it takes a while for the air to become accustomed to hearing you speak, make sure and start off maybe slower than usual and use words that we would expect to hear. So for example, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, so that the listener could realize, that's how she says it. Because you did begin with a quote, but honestly, I couldn't catch the beginning because I was not prepared for your speaking style at that particular moment. Then you went on to share how you use your speaking style in your personal life. And I really enjoyed how you shared personal experiences. So you shared how you use it at work, and you vary your communication style depending on the moment. If it's an emergency, you use aggressive, or depending on how you want to communicate, face-to-face or using a phone call. So those are really insightful and shared a bit more about Toastmaster High. So I felt I got to know you better. One also area I'd like to recommend for your improvement is how you end and close it off. You had great information and you were ending really well, but the last phrase where you said, "Thank you for listening," we don't need that. We were honored to listen to you. Don't thank us. And you recap strong and you really bring home your point. So in closing, what I'd like to say is your accent is not something that you have to overcome. It's not a hurdle. I myself obviously have an accent. Many of the speakers here in Toastmasters have an accent. But as soon as the listeners become familiar and in tune with what you're saying, it's a pleasure to sit back and hear the content, which you gave us tonight very clearly and with confidence in the content. Thank you, Toastmaster High.
Thank you, Toastmaster Sonia Garate. Our next evaluator will be Toastmaster Michelle Gonzalez. And I will bring her back to the main session now. I think they're having a lot of fun in there, so I'll have to go to the other room to get her.
I'll switch over there.
Okay. Our second evaluator for this evening is Toastmaster Michelle. Toastmaster Michelle, please, could you give us your evaluation, Toastmaster High, this evening?
Thank you, Toastmaster Gary Newper. Is everyone hearing me? Thank you. Toastmaster, hi. Thank you so much for talking straight to me. I too am struggling with issues of communication. I understood your outline clearly. And thank you again for your courage and willingness to speak to us this evening. What you did well. I noticed that you stated and restated your objective with intentionality. And you followed through what you said you were going to do. You did it on each point. Secondly, you gave your own story, which provided context and explanation and clarification for what you have said previously about being passive, aggressive, and assertive types of communication. You presented that well. I understood it well. It reminded me of my own ability and inability to communicate at times. In spite, or I should say, despite your language proficiency, you were quite clear. Your gestures and eye contact were used well, and you presented in the simplest form any layperson can understand. What I believe, or what I believe you can improve on, I'll start with one, finishing your words. Sometimes we run along too fast ahead of ourselves, and without pausing, we make words jumbled together. Pausing at some instances can also be applicable for us to reflect on your terminology and explanation. Lastly, I noticed that you reiterated your topic and made an appeal to us as to why we should all have this knowledge of the 3 types of communication styles. This followed well and helped to further cement your ideas that you put forward. I would therefore like at this time to encourage you along your Toastmasters pathways, and anytime you would like to come again to our club meetings, you're welcome. And I trust that you have learned a lot with our evaluations today. Back to Toastmaster Gary Newport. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Toastmaster Michelle Gonzalez. I will now bring back our next.
I could switch over and get the next thing, Gary.
Okay, it's Toastmaster Shastri. Our third evaluator for this evening. Let's give a warm round of applause to Toastmaster Shastri.
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters, our guests, hi, any dignitaries. Now, hi, I'm going to break down your speech in a few sections. Number 1, you had a very organized speech. You told us what you were going to talk about, you spoke about it, and then you revised what you spoke about. Very effective way of delivering a speech, very organized. I love that. You spoke about aggressive communication, passive communication, and assertive communication. But what I love about those 3 points is that you integrated it with a family member. So you talked about your husband, you said that he was assertive, and your son who was more of a passive communication, and how you dealt and communicate with them effectively. So I thought that was very clever. It really engaged all the audience, because I'm sure some of you have family members that you communicate with that you feel have some of these communication styles. So wonderful job. You also told us about a little bit about yourself, and you're not from the United States, but I would have loved to hear more. I'd love to hear where you're from and a little bit more about that backstory, but great job. Some of your hand gestures were very descriptive. I used the 1, the 2, the 3, which is very effective as always. You used your steeple. You had it like this sometimes, which most likely you want to have it more like this, is more confident, but this is good as well if that works for you. But great job doing that. And another point that I'd like to talk about is when you were speaking, it seemed like you were looking to the side of the audience. I'm not sure if you were reading or not, but that was a little distracting. That's the only thing that I would mention. I'll probably improve. Your tone, I loved your tone. I loved your tone because it was so warm and welcoming, and I love that. And lastly, I really am inspired. I was inspired about your speech. Why? Because you don't speak English, that's not your first language, but you're trying, and it's so inspiring to see that you're putting yourself out there on the limb to improve yourself. So I commend you for that. And I felt your compassion through the screen. I really did. I'm not sure if it's your tone, your smile, the way you delivered the speech. I just felt compassion through the screen. So thank you. Wonderful job. Hi, and back to you, Matt, contest chair.
Thank you, Toastmaster Shastri. Our next evaluator will be Toastmaster Jack Miller, and he's been summoned to the main meeting room at the moment. Let's all give a warm round of applause to our fourth evaluator, Toastmaster Jack Miller.
Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, honored guests, and you, hi, kind of like that. Hi, I want to commend you for getting up here and willing to give a speech. You said you've only been in Toastmasters for 2 months. That's amazing. So we all owe you a round of 3 months. Okay, that's still virgin territory. You spoke on the 3 styles of communication: aggressive, passive, and expressive. Did I get that third one right? Was that expressive? I think it was. And I enjoyed that. The thing I might have liked to have seen a little more is a little more humor, especially when you brought your husband. You said he was an aggressive. That was room for a good joke one way or another there. And I think if you could have played with that, you'd have had more fun and got us giggling a little bit more. And using your son, your whole family in the story, it's good to see that, to get out there and understand, because when you understand how a person's communicating, you get to understand the person a little bit more. We all tend to think in our own way of thinking, and you help bring out forward to us that there are other ways to view things. By viewing the way a communicator is communicating, you're able to better understand them and yourself. And I appreciate that you brought that to our attention, to realize that, you know, we're all human. And one of the cool things about being human is that we're all unique, we're all different. Some of us are really wacky, some of us are only a little bit wacky, but we're all somewhat wacky. I might have liked to have seen again a little more detail on that. I did like the way you went through and you did tell us the 3 things at least 3 times. And I think that's important because people don't grasp things just hearing it once. They've got to hear it a couple of times. So the way you came back and reiterated the 3 styles, the passive, the aggressive, and the expressive, a few times helped us to capture that a little bit more in the moment. But all in all, I really appreciated your talk. I thank you again for coming here and being with us, and applaud you in your efforts to be better at English. I'm sure you're better at English than we are at your first language. So thank you and God bless.
Thank you, Toastmaster Jack. Bring back our final contestant for this evening. Our fifth and final contestant for this evening is Toastmaster Micheline. Let's give a warm welcome to Toastmaster Micheline.
Good evening, Toastmasters, and hi, thank you. I must say that your speech was very inviting. Your face was lit up, your smile was wide. You did not seem like you were nervous, even though you were 3 months into Toastmasters, so you did a spectacular performance today. I will share 2 things that I love about your speech. I noticed that you're very organized and you connected with the audience. Let me share some examples how you did that. Your speech flowed from you had an introduction, you had a body, and you wrapped it up. And then when you did how you connect with your body language, you showed 1, 2, and 3. And then as you did that, you also gave us examples of communication styles throughout the speech. You just kept repeating that. So even if I forgot what you were talking about, you continue to repeat it. You also share examples of what type of communication styles your family use. Your husband is aggressive, you are more assertive, and your son is passive. So that was easy to follow. There were 2 areas that I think, or maybe 1, vocal variety. I think you could have improved a little more on that and work on some of the words pronunciation. I found you stumble a little. Maybe you think of an alternative word instead of that word that you wouldn't feel so intimidated in pronouncing. But overall, your speech was great, inviting, easy to follow, and I do not think you're 3 months into Toastmasters. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Toastmaster Micheline. And thank you once again to all of our evaluators this evening and to our awesome guest speaker, Toastmaster Hai. Toastmaster Ray, please could you give us the timers report for the evaluations?
Yes, Toastmaster Gary. All evaluators were within the allotted time.
Thank you, Toastmaster Ray. Toastmaster Hyun Green, as our overall evaluator for this evening, please could you provide us with some feedback on the evaluators' evaluations this evening?
Certainly, my pleasure, Contest Master Gary. Contestants, Sonia, Shastri, Michelle, Jack, and Micheline, you all did a wonderful job evaluating Hai. All of you got a special private note from me, and I say it from the bottom of my heart. Hai, for your information, it's not easy to evaluate veteran Toastmasters, but it is just as difficult to evaluate a baby Toastmaster like yourself. Don't you think they all did a great job? You were considerate, gentle, and above all, you were all very encouraging. And I know how nerve-wracking it is to go to a new, totally different Toastmasters club and had to give a speech. But she accepted the challenge at the last minute, literally 3 o'clock this afternoon, when the promised guest speaker backed out. So kudos to you, Hai. And again, I am so proud of you evaluators. Whoever is chosen to present Wellington Toastmasters will do a wonderful job in the area contest and forward.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Hyun Green. We always appreciate your feedback and enjoy having you as a veteran Toastmaster in our club. In the actual contest, the judges would be going to a separate breakout room at the moment and handing in their judge remarks and meeting with the chief judge to come up with a winner for the evening. Because this is a mock contest, you're all winners this evening and you all win a position in the actual contest. It's been my honor to serve as the contest master this evening, and I will now give the meeting back to our acting president, Toastmaster Shastri Stewart.
Awesome. So I am guessing this is the conclusion of the meeting. Were we not gonna do like the interviews and all that? Did we?
We can do interviews.
No, I mean, no, I was just asking. And in regards to the votes and stuff, we're not doing that either, right? No, okay.
No.
I wanted to hear what the other evaluators said. I didn't get to hear.
That is the joy of YouTube. So each evaluator gets to go and watch their competition on the YouTube video and prepare for the actual contest.
Awesome. All right. Well, we still have a lot of time, so I'm not sure what if we want to end the meeting right now, or do we want to do some impromptu things? Maybe we could get to know our guest here.
That's fine.
Hi. Yes. Hi. If you can take the platform, because I'm very interested to know where you're from and a little bit about your history or backstory.
Wow. Very nice to know all of you. My pleasure. Actually, this afternoon I received the invitations and I thought, should I try or not? Because I have another thing to do. I have a Bible study this evening too. So I said, oh, why not? I try. And then of course I feel nervous, very nervous during this speech. And this is the second time as I do this communication style. I just did it last Thursday. And the second time actually is more nervous than the first time. Yes, I look at the paper. I put the paper here, so that's why it's such is. Know that I look at the paper here and write a little bit. So direction here, and yeah, I feel nervous and I was so very new. So when I said at my club, and then I would start with the quotes first, and then I would say good evening, Madam Toastmaster or my fellow Toastmaster. But here I said how I should catch your attention by saying good evening, and then I say my quotes, and then I say ladies and gentlemen. So I'm new, so I didn't know too. So and at the end I was nervous too, and I think I repeat some of the sentences. I repeat again, it's maybe a little bit unnecessary. And I feel, but I was nervous, very nervous.
Yeah, and where are you from?
I came from Vietnam.
Vietnam, nice.
Yes, I was born in the north, and I came to the south of Vietnam. Have you heard Saigon? Probably familiar name to Americas because the war before.
Right.
And I came here about 7 years ago. And I joined Clerk and Controllers about 6 years ago, starting as a volunteer first. And I came for volunteer after 3 months, and yeah, they hired me, and I worked there until now. And 3 months ago, I decided to join a Toastmaster club, and I think I can improve my English through the conversation, through the speaking to the other people. So
that's
I
awesome.
enjoy it.
Yeah, and if you're not happy with your club, we'll welcome you with open arms.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm very close to Wellington. I'm in Royal Palm.
Yeah, of course. You
Yeah, I'm in Royal Palm.
join us. You know what? Actually, Yon used to be, I believe, Yon, you could correct me if this is incorrect. She used to be part of 2 or 3 clubs at the same time, and she would go to meetings like every day just to learn to speak eloquently. So
That's
it's
correct.
hard work.
Yeah,
I'm
I know
still a member of
Yon.
the club.
I met her several times at my club, so I know Yon. Yeah, she's so good. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so I wanted to ask you also, what were your feedback in regards to the evaluations?
Yeah, I feel I learned the point, the improvement point from each of you. I think, yeah, it's very useful to me, very useful, because each of you have a 1 or 2 points. It can be similar, it can be different, but it's very, 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 very encouragement, and it's very benefit to me, sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
I love that, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, and I love your communication style. It's just naturally welcoming. You know, some people are not always good at that, you know, but you're just like the way you are, you're very open. So I just want you to observe that and keep that when you get better, keep that openness about you. I love it.
Thank you.
So Sonia Garate could do table topics. So we'll just pass the meeting over to Sonia Garate to do a few table topics before we conclude the meeting. Thank you so much. Hi.
Thanks.
Thank you, Shastri. So since table topics is my favorite part of Toastmasters, I didn't want to leave today without having a chance to go through. So let's take the last few minutes, and I'm going to ask the question, which activity makes you lose track of time? Which activity makes you lose track of time? Toastmaster Ray.
Which activity makes me lose track of time? Anything that I could actually say that anything that I enjoy doing, I can actually go about and lose track of time. And this could be from reading a book to going about and doing my regular workout routines. I actually, at one point, was driving down to my job in Hollywood and ended up passing to Miami-Dade County. So because I was actually at that point, I was listening to a book on there. So anything that basically, you know, captures my attention, I will go about and lose track of my time on there. That it could go on and on and on, and I could be occupied. That keeps my mind occupied. I will lose track of it on there. I'm not sure if I've made my minute minimum, but I will pass it back to you, Sonia. You're muted.
Thank you, Toastmaster Ray. And while you were speaking, I was timing you, and there we go. So was Gary, you were within time. Next question. What is something that you do differently than most other people? What is something that you do differently than most other people? Toastmaster Jack Miller.
What do I do differently than most other people? One of the things that I've always prided myself on, and now that I'm finally every day committed to writing my book, is the ability to take complex thoughts and ideas and make them so a simple mind like mine can understand them. And it's something I realized a long time ago, and I guess I've just always worked at that. So whether it's a philosophical something, a spiritual something, or even something to do with design, my profession right now, trying to take complex thoughts and make it simple, maybe with a lack of actual enough clarity sometimes. But to me, it's better to get a little idea of a big picture than to get all the facts right, but not be understood at all. So that's my talent, and the thing that I'm really working on in my book, and believe me, this is maybe one of the most difficult things I've ever done, is trying to write this book. But in getting the outline together and, you know, starting for first pages and understanding where I'm going, I'm really feeling good about it. And that talent is the thing that's going to carry me through, is to try and not have it. Some people write and talk so much you have no idea what they said after you're done. I want to say little and mean much. I'm complete.
Thank you, Toastmaster Jack. I think that's a skill that we all strive for, especially at Toastmasters, to be concise and meaningful. Next question. If we learn from our mistakes, and I think we agree that we do, why are we so afraid to make mistakes? If we learn from our mistakes, why are we so afraid to make mistakes? Toastmaster Michelle Gonzalez.
Good one. Au contraire, I am not afraid of making mistakes. I have made so many and learned so much. So the temptation to make a mistake, to launch myself out of my comfort zone, knowingly that I could not fail, but always learn. I think for me, it might sound like a conundrum that, oh, I don't want to make a mistake, so I'll be so timid to do something new. For example, speaking to an audience, speaking to people at a wedding. You may think you're incapable, but how would you ever know? Unless you venture out and speak from your heart and say what you want to say clearly. There will be no mistakes. You might be surprised at how many people you can surely affect by you launching out into a new experience. For me personally, there are no mistakes in my life. There are only periods that I have been in valleys and then periods that I've been on mountaintops. And when I look back at the valleys, I realize that I learned much more and I grew much more. I'm like a tree. I'm planted deep down. No matter what comes, what sways, what I'm not breaking. I might bend, and I love the idea of making mistakes to learn and to grow. Back to you, Toastmasters. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Toastmaster Michelle. Always inspiring words. And I believe we have time for about 2 more. So our next question, what do you love most about yourself? What do you love most about yourself? Toastmaster Gary Newper.
Thank you, Toastmaster Sonia. I was counting on all the other ones, but not this topic, but okay. Yes, it's always hardest to speak about yourself in the sense of what you love about yourself. I think the one thing that I can say that I do love about myself is just the ability to always maintain a positive attitude. I think no matter what's going on in life, we're always going to have challenges, we're always going to have difficulties, but there's no sense in letting the challenges of life get us down, because that only ruins the opportunities that we have going forward. I think being able to see the positive and take the lessons from the different opportunities and the challenges that we go through in life is a very valuable skill to be able to develop. And I think, as Toastmaster Michelle mentioned, if you're not afraid to make mistakes, then you can learn so much and just continue to develop yourself. And you'll never know what you're capable of unless you go out and are willing to make the mistakes. So I think being able to go out, make the mistakes, and face life with a positive attitude and always look for the silver lining, I think that will make us all that much more successful and make life that much more enjoyable. Toastmaster Sonia.
Thank you, Toastmaster Gary. And we love your positivity as well, Gary, very important. And I believe our final question tonight, has your greatest fear come true? Has your greatest fear ever come true? Toastmaster High on Green.
Madam Table Topics Master, that's a very profound question. We all have some kind of fear or fears. Do I stop and think whether my fears ever come true or not? Not really. I don't have big fears in my life anymore. I might have had many when I was younger. For example, as I asked Gary today, just now actually in the chat, am I popular today? I may have asked that to myself every day when I was Gary's age, perhaps. Not anymore. Those things are not important. But my fear is really, truly, honestly, is that my family, including myself, will be perhaps swept by the big force of materialism. That's my big fear, one of the biggest fears. I talk with my son quite often. He's trying to be a doctor. I asked him, why did you want to be a doctor? And I made sure that it was not about money. And again, we talk about balancing your spiritual life with your material life. Yes, indeed, my fear is just that. How to not be swept away by the materialism. Madam Table Topics Master.
Thank you, Toastmaster High on Green. And I'm so glad that we can end on that note for tonight. And to close our meeting, I believe I'll let our acting president tonight close off. Thank you all for speaking in Table Topics tonight.
And thank you, Sonia, for stepping in and really providing us with very insightful questions. I didn't have my mic on the last couple minutes, so I'm not sure if you guys heard me initially when I was speaking. Were you guys able to hear me before? It's weird. Okay. So I know next week we do have a hybrid meeting. Is that correct? Right? So please, if you can, if you're able to make it to our physical location, please be there because we do have a different type of energy. And we want to encourage most of our members to go back to our physical location. Unfortunately, though, at the hospital, we're seeing an increase in COVID cases as well. So I'm not sure what's going on. It's hectic. Anyway, and then also we'll be having our evaluation contest. I'm not sure. I don't think a date is set for that just yet. Any of the executive team have any announcements or anything that they'd like to share before we close?
Shay's birthday is the 14th.
You know who else's birthday is the 14th?
Who's?
My mom.
Yeah.
I told Shay that I was like, I'll never forget your birthday.
Okay, so let's just remember to send her a text chat. Happy birthday.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And I think she's gonna join us at 8 for the officers meeting. If we're still having it.
Awesome.
Okay.
Thank you, Micheline. And hi again. Thank you for joining us and participating and volunteering.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Good night.
Jack.